Hello. It is Sunday, January whatever the date is, and today is the 185th installment of 10 Random Magic Cards Rated. I have heard some in the comments section say that I am too bombastic to play this in front of their family or at work, and so today I'm going to do so as calmly as possible. For as long as I can, at least. First card of the day is Harbinger of the Hunt from Dragons of Tarkir. 5 mana, 3, a red and a green for a 5/3 dragon with flying. You can pay 2 and a red to have it deal 1 damage to each creature without flying, or you can pay 2 and a green to have it deal 1 damage to each other creature with flying. So it will never deal damage to itself. And if you have enough mana, you can rat the entire table, turn after turn. This card's great. It took me, well, how long was that? 48 seconds, apparently, to revert back into my loud voice. I'm sorry I'm so loud. People tell me all the time, my entire life. Been on the planet for a few decades at this point. I won't say how many. And every time I open my mouth and I say something excitedly, which is my natural personality, I have people say, "Hey, man, you can bring it down?" I'm like, "Hey, stop trying to clip my wings." So I will certainly not let myself clip my own wings. Thank you very much. Harbinger of the Hunt seems pretty good. I'm going to give this card a good score, dude. This is like a 6. It dies to some removal. It dies to bolts and stuff, right? You don't necessarily want that all the time, but it's got a relevant creature type. It's not too expensive for what it does. If you do untap with it and play and you have enough mana, then suddenly you can just wreak havoc. It's obviously great as a mana sink. You need ways to spend your mana, especially on late turns in Commander. So if you untap and you don't have anything better to do, but what you do have is 12 mana, then yeah, I actually think this is a fantastic Magic card. And I don't think that anything I've just said is too Christmas landy. So I'm going to actually I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to step back and I'm going to give it a 6. But I'm not going to go any lower than this. I may be nuts. This is probably more along the lines of a 5.3 or something. But I definitely think it's a little bit better than the average Magic card for sure. For sure. You see activated abilities like that and you kind of get into it, you know. Greed is up next. We get the awesome Filfolio art from Legends. This is the original version. You can get it for about $50 from Legends, which is probably too much, but if I had a $50 gift certificate to like TCG Player or Card Kingdom or something, I might pull the trigger on one of these. It's pretty cool. 3 and a black for an enchantment in black. You can pay a black mana to draw a card and lose 2 life. And that's it. Black, pay 2 life, draw a card. That's how they've templated it nowadays. Very simple, very clean. Nuts. Nuts Magic card. There's probably at least 2 or 3 better versions of this card that have been printed, right? Like Necropotence and Yawgmoth's Bargain. But as far as extra card draw in black, there's really not a whole lot of cards that are actually better than this once it's on the table. 4 mana is kind of a lot to ask, but we are commandering. We are playing Commander. So, it's possible that if you have the life to throw around, then this is going to draw you, 6, 7 cards out of the course of the game, maybe even more, And card draw is king. It is the best thing you can do in a game of Magic. And for a long time, for a while, a couple of summers, this is the best way to draw cards in black. But even with Necropotence and Bargain, and all those other options, Greed remains still to this day, one of the best ways to draw cards in black. It really does. I'm going to give Greed a 7.2. I am respecting this card. It is very, very good. The Balrog, Durin's Bane, is up next from Lord of the Rings, Tales of Middle-earth. Have we done this? Did we do this the other day? Yes. We've done this recently. No, we did the other Balrog. We did a different Balrog. This is 7 mana, 5, a black and a red for a 7/5 legendary Avatar Demon that costs 1 less to cast for each permanent sacked this turn. It has haste and cannot be blocked except by legendary creatures, and when it dies, destroy target artifact or creature an opponent controls. I was wrong. We did do this card not long ago, actually. It's so cool. This card's so cool. This card's amazing. It doesn't count today, but God, the card's great. Look at the flavor on it, too. I love it. Gloom is up next, getting all of the black, classic enchantments today. This is 3 mana. We did this, didn't we? We did this 4 weeks ago. Maybe, a month, something like that. Gloom is so good, dude. It's still good. It's still a good Magic card. Geometric Nexus, I don't think we've ever come across before. 2 mana for an artifact. Whenever a player casts an instant or sorcery spell, put a number of charge counters on Nexus equal to that spell's mana value. Pay 6 and tap it and remove all the charge counters from it to create a 0/0 green and blue fractal creature token. Put X +1/+1 counters on it, X being the number of charge counters removed this way. That's not bad. Now, it costs 6 mana to actually activate its ability. So you're kind of hoping that you get, like, 5/5 at the very least with this. Really? But, you could just cast like a 6-drop instant or sorcery, and then suddenly this gets all those counters. I imagine that just with one turn cycle of people casting instants and sorceries, it's not too hard to get, 4 counters on this. And I'm being like somewhat conservative with that estimate. I'd say there's going to be some turns where you end up getting like 9 counters on this thing. And then the next turn you have another 4 counters. The next turn you have another 6 counters, or whatever, Super mana intensive, and I don't love that about it. In Commander, by the time you can activate this and you have the 6 mana to do so, you really want to be able to do something better with your 6 mana. But I will say, it definitely makes other people play the game differently. It rewards you for playing, for slinging spells and stuff, with a constant stream of bodies. If you can just keep casting spells, that's all good. And sometimes it gives you a pretty big thing, it's going to give you like a 12/12 or whatever, depending on what's been going on and how long you've been storing the counters. So, kind of don't hate it. 5. Nah, 4.9. It's just a difference of, 100th of a point or whatever it is, but a 10th of a point. It's not a 4.99, it's 4.9. So a 10th of a point difference, but, I'm just not sure that it's really what I'm looking for in terms of like average power level. I think it's like slightly under that. It's a little, again, the mana is a lot to ask, but still, it's not bad. It's not bad. Spark of Creativity here is from Kaladesh. This is a single red mana for a sorcery. Choose a creature, exile the top card of your library. You may have Spark of Creativity deal damage equal to that creature, equal to the exiled card's converted mana cost. If you don't, you can play that card until end of turn, so it kind of draws you a card a little bit. I remember people playing this in like spell slingy kind of decks that just needed a bunch of like cheap things, right? I remember this being a thing because it's just a card draw piece that adds to your prowess or storm or whatever it is you're doing. But altogether, it's just cantrip. But I guess it's cantrip with the possibility of being a removal spell, So, whatever. I guess it's either a removal spell or the card draw, the way it's worded. So, still. It's not that bad. I'm going to give it a 4. Because there are uses for pieces like this. And we've seen them. We've seen them in the past. Daze is a good Magic card. This is actually banned in Pauper. It's originally printed in Nemesis. And it's like $3.50 for a copy of the card from that set, which is kind of wild, honestly. 1 and a blue for an instant. You can return an island you control to its owner's hand instead of paying Daze's mana cost. Counter target spell unless its controller pays 1. So it's a free force spike. And in this case, it's not even like discard a blue card or exile a blue card the way Force of Will is. Or the way other, free counter spells tend to be, like foil in blue is like discard a card, return a plains or something. Like you have to come down cards to do it. This you don't really have to come down any cards. As a matter of fact, if you want discard fodder, right, you can put an island back in your hand and discard it to another effect. If you're a landfall deck, obviously you get some extra like room out of that island. So there might be reasons you want to return an island to your hand even. There may even be some turns where you've already tapped that island for mana and it's your turn. And you can cast Daze, return the island to your hand, play it again to get extra mana out of it. So there's a lot of reasons why Daze is a good card apart from just being a counterspell. But as far as counterspells, this is actually on a short list of like pseudo best counterspells of all time, literally. It may just be Force Spike, but people forget how good Force Spike is. People tend to want to use all their mana on any given turn, especially early turns. And this is just like Force of Will, is you're going to allow the blue mage to tap out and still kind of force their opponent to be, weird about how they use their mana. If you know Daze is in the format, then there's a catch-22 where like the blue mage gets to tap out, but you don't. So they're still getting, a turn-by-turn advantage over you. Like they have a one-turn advantage over you because you don't get to spend your mana, but they do. So just a fantastic Magic card. I think a lot of newer players look at this and they're like, but no, trust me. Daze is unbelievably good. This card, I think when we rated Force of Will, it got like a 9.6, 9.7 or something like that. Daze, I'm going to give an 8.9 to Daze. I really want to give this card a 9. I really do. Let me know in the comments, should I give this card a 9? But as it stands, the official score is 8.9. It is every bit as good as that 8.9 implies, though. Trust me. I think some people are going to hear that and be like, dude, this card looks balls. No, this card is tremendously good, I promise you. Next is Flash Flood. Cool looking card from Legends, but it not that good. It depends. Again, color hosers can be good, right? This is a single blue mana for an instant. Destroy target red permanent or return a mountain to its owner's hand. Enchantments on that land are destroyed. I know it sounds weird here because destroy a red permanent for a single blue mana seems pretty sick, and it is. It's quite good at instant speed, but return a mountain they control on like turn 1, return a mountain to their hand is busted. It's actually entirely busted, dude. So this card ain't bad against red, and I'm going to give it a 5.3. Mostly because, again, it's bad against everything, but against red, it's nuts. So 5.3, it's still decent commander if you know somebody's playing red because, you know, a single blue at this speed to blow up a red permanent is Blue Elemental Blast. And Blue Elemental Blast is a pretty good card, you know. But next is Inspiring Vantage. We've done these lands before. They don't count. Summoner's Pact from Future Sight. Still pushing about $10, but if you want it for Mystery Booster too, $2.71. I think that's worth it. Even though it's white bordered, it's kind of cool that it's white bordered. Anyway, this costs 0 mana for an instant. It is green. Search your library for a green creature card, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your library. At the beginning of your next upkeep, pay 2 and 2 green. If you don't, you lose the game. Whoop, whoop. Okay, so still great. Still super, super great. You know, like it sometimes keeps you from actually playing the creature you tutored up. It doesn't always, but sometimes it does. But it's free. Do you see how the card is actually free to cast? So it's very good, no matter what. It's also in Commander a creature tutor that's effing free, so you know it's good. It doesn't matter that you have to pay mana for it later. All these are good. Slaughter Pact is good. Pact of Negation is good. These are just good. And even though Summoner's Pact might not be as good as some of the other ones, like it's still good. And obviously, I haven't said this yet. If you use it to go and get a creature, like on your turn, you use it to go and get a creature that wins you the game immediately, you don't have to worry about this. You know what I mean? So there were times where it was used to go get like the Devoted Druid piece, the combo pieces, and just win the game right then and there, so you never have to worry about paying the mana. And I'm sure there are like very similar tricks in Commander where you go and get the combo piece, win right there. You don't have to care about ever paying for this card. So still good for that reason too. Summoner's Pact is cracked, and all packs are cracked, and I like to crack packs. I will give this I'll give this an 8.1 in Commander. I certainly will. Yeah, it's good. It's a good card. Ascendant Pack Leader from Crimson Vow is up next. This card's supposed to look like this. This is a green mana for a 2/1 wolf. When it ETBs, it gets +1/+1 counter if you control a permanent with mana value 4 or greater. Whenever you cast a spell with mana value 4 or greater, this little guy gets a +1/+1 counter. It's crazy. Still, I read this card to this day, and I'm like, are you the best Savannah Lions ever printed? Are you? It's like Paw Patch Recruit is a very, very good Savannah Lions. You know, there's a few that are nuts, but Pack Leader, dude, every time I read it, I'm still just like flabbergasted by how potentially good this could be. You know, it's a 1-mana 2/1 that is very easy to grow as the game goes on. And it's also a 1-mana creature that isn't entirely terrible if you draw it on turn 5 or 6 or whatever. Or 8 even, you know, like it's almost certainly going to be a 3/2 for just a single mana late in the game. And those are at least some stats. It's not like it's a 1/1. So I've always loved this card, man. Even outside of like wolf and werewolf decks, I just think it's a very, very strong green 1-drop. We put it in the mono green cube. You know, we have all the green 1-drops in the world ever to choose from, and I only had 20 slots for 1-drops, and I still felt like this card went in and deserved its slot because it's just so powerful. It really is. That said, it's still just like an aggro green 1-drop, and those are ill-fated in Commander to say the least. There's not a whole lot of like Commander Stompy. I mean, there's some, but there's not a whole lot. So I'm going to give Pack Leader, I guess you're playing Tovolar, you play the card. Maybe. Something wolf related. But I'm still going to give this like a solid 5.1. I'm actually giving it a little bit better than just a Joe Blow Magic card because I think it's stronger than that. I really do. I'm going to give this card some love. 5.1. Flame Tongue Yearling is up next from MH2. This is not Flame Tongue Kavu, but hold. This is 2 red mana for a 2/1 Kavu with multi-kicker 2. It ETBs with a +1/+1 counter on it for each time it was kicked. When it ETBs, it deals damage equal to its power to target creatures. So you actually have to pay 6 mana to make this as good as Flame Tongue Kavu. So that's not great. And I don't love it. But if you pay as much as Flame Tongue Kavu, it bolts a creature when it comes into play. And that's like still okay, you know. This is mostly a drafty card for the MH2 draft environment. And I respect it for that, but it's not a great Magic card, though. I'll give it a 3.3. I like dudes that can kill creatures when they come into play. Those are typically all right. But final card of the day is not Forest. Art's kind of interesting, you know, foreboding thing in the background, suggesting some ancient civilization now dead. And this maybe airship of some kind that you can barely see here flying over it as if to be like, ooh, what happened here thousands of years ago, potentially. Very cool, all things considered. It's from Dominaria, so it could be from the Fallen Empires era, the Dark era, right? Like some old structure that, who knows. Anyway, the Ice Age. Actual last card of the day is Basim Ibn al-Sheikh. This is, or Ishak, excuse me. This is like $350 right now from the Assassin's Creed set. That's actually... It's not like expensive, but it's not cheap. So let's see what it does. A blue and a black for a 2/2 legendary human assassin. Whenever you cast a historic spell, draw a card. Basim Ibn Ishak can't be blocked this turn. This ability triggers only once per turn. Okay. Whenever Basim deals combat damage to a player, put a +1/+1 counter on it. Okay, so you're paying 2 mana, and whenever I cast an artifact, I draw a card. Like that right there is good. Just that is good. Whenever I cast a legendary, draw a card. That's so good. And then it can't be blocked this turn. And then it gets larger. Like, you know, I cast an artifact, I draw a card, it becomes a 3/3 when it gets through. Cast an artifact, draw a card, becomes a 4/4. Cast an artifact, draw a card, becomes a 5/5. And like turn over turn, that's really good, actually. This guy's awesome. Like specifically in artifact decks, but like any historic deck, you're doing a lot of legendary stuff. Like 5-color Joda Legends, this guy's great. This guy's really good. You know, like the turn you cast your Joda, he gets like +1,000,000/+1,000,000 and can't be blocked and draws you the card. That's nuts. This guy's great. What do we give this dude? Ask the audience. Basim Ibn Ishak. This card's really good, isn't it? Maybe it doesn't do anything, you know, but if you have 3 mana, it's pretty easy to like force a card drawn off of it with, you know, a 1 mana artifact or something. I'm going to give this card a 6.6. I'm like so serious. This card's good. Am I missing something? This card's pretty good. It doesn't have any like activated or it doesn't have keywords. I guess that sucks. Like just a 2 mana 2/2 kind of sucks, but like you draw so many cards off this. It sucks that it only triggers once per turn, but just like still draw it. You can still draw a bunch of cards. Maybe it's harder to like draw cards on your opponent's turn, but maybe flash artifacts in or flash legendaries in. Draw cards that way. It could work, dude. This card's good. It's also the last card of the day, which is sad. I'll miss you guys. I'm not batching videos again until Sunday, which is what day it currently is as you're watching this video. But to me, that's 5 days in the future, and I won't be doing any more of these until the day you're watching it, which again is farther in the future than it may seem. You're already there. I had to wait for it. I've been waiting with bated breath for 5 days to batch more of these videos and record them. But yeah, I'll see you then, and I'll be hopefully wearing something different. What if I'm not? That'd be wild. Just happen to be wearing the same outfit. Anyway, that's it for today, guys. I love you. I'll see you later. Bye.